Hello, everybody. Welcome back. What we are watching, episode 38. And they said it wouldn't last.
They said it, and I open hand slapped them in the face. That's why I hadn't been welcome back.
It's not going to last. Wow.
That's it.
I'll
Get
take
out of
one
here,
of these
sir.
now.
You're
I'll take
making
one
a
of these
scene.
now. But I am Joey Harris, along with my co-host TJ. How are you, my friend?
I'm good this day, man. All these checks apparently being cut. Tis the season. Mariah Carey is on every speaker. A Christmas special is coming. It's almost New Year's. How else would I be? I feel fresh and moist.
Fresh and moist? Wow.
I'm exceptional.
Listen, I'm going to tell you, I still do it every day. Not everybody still does it every day, but there's a New York Times game called the Wordle. And you know, when it first came out, everybody was up on it. Everybody was doing the Wordle. Everybody was sharing the Wordle
Right.
and all of that. And one of the first words, once I started playing that day, was moist. And everybody that day says, you will either get this right away or you will hate this. Because there's nobody who is like ambivalent on that word.
So I have to say this, and it's full disclosure on me, folks. It's okay to be self-aware. I, in this situation, am extremely ignorant. Joey, I see that you share those wordles. I see that you share them. I have no idea what it means. And here's the thing. I have not even tried to understand it. Most times, when I don't understand something, I will look it up. I don't mind acknowledging when, because I don't like to not know things.
Right.
But I see you post Wordle, and it has a design of blocks, and then there's some type of fraction. And I said, you know what? I don't care.
That's like, I think it's Arthur, that kid show Arthur, that
Mm-hmm.
one character. That sign doesn't mean anything to me. I can't read. But before we type, we're not typing anything. Before we dive, it's not a type. We're diving into our latest subject, which will be the Incredible Hulk from 2008. I have decided that from here on out, you have become my official go-to person when it comes to like the hard-hitting issues of the day. Like, you know, I don't say things like, hey TJ, tell me all about the Middle East problem. Nothing like that. Harder situations. Like, now this is what I want your opinions on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not the official, because I'm sure there is an official difference in there, but I think that if they were to hand you the same thing, there are restaurants that you go to where they have chicken strips, and there are restaurants you go to where they have chicken tenders. Now they are handing you, let's say you're like, I'm just a little, you know, I just need a little something. Give me one. I will pay for them, my good man. They're going to hand you the same piece of chicken. But some restaurants, that's a chicken strip, and some restaurants, that's a chicken tender.
There's a difference.
Okay. All right.
There's 1,000% a difference. It's just like there's a difference between chicken nuggets and boneless chicken wings. There's a difference.
Okay.
Right? So the chicken nugget is for the child. The chicken strip is for the child. The chicken tender or the boneless wing is for the adult.
Okay.
So yeah, if I come to your establishment and I want a chicken tender and you come to me with the strip, it better not cost more than $1.25.
So what you're saying is that if we're in a big group and there are children that are and you know, my nephew orders off the kids menu, he's gonna get the chicken strips, but when it gets to me, it's the chicken tenders.
1,000%.
You know they're coming from that same bag.
No, you know they are. It's just the garnishments, right? Because your nephew, little Tommy, got the choo chicken strips, all right, that only come with one side and an apple juice. Now, when it comes to you, chicken tender Joey, you get 6 instead of the 2 from the choo, and then you get 2 sides. we got double fries. I want all the fries. Because you heard me order it like that, because that's exactly how, and the apple juice. It keeps me regular.
You know, there could be places where you get your 2 chicken strips. You get your side, they'll give them 2 sides. You're like, let me have the apple slices and the apple sauce and an apple juice. It's chicken with apple.
Chicken with apple, which is all good. Shout outs, rest in power to Miss Bass, because she let me know I can eat chicken with my apple.
You know, her birthday was day before yesterday as we record this. Did you know that?
You know, the universe makes no mistakes. I wouldn't have brought her up otherwise, and I didn't even know that.
She would have been 93.
You know what? As long as she had been healthy and feeling good, I would have wanted that woman to live as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she was legitimate. And mind you, I don't know her pre-1960. You know, she could have been a villain back in the day. But the person that I met in the mid-aughts was a very, very humble and very caring person that had a recipe. And instead of saying, I can't give you this recipe, or it's a family secret, or if I tell you I gotta gut you, she said, let me email it to you. And here I am about to get emotional thinking about this woman. Brother, she was a great person.
She was absolutely a great person and came into my life at a time when I needed somebody like that. She was like a grandmother to me. And for a while after she left, we would text back and forth. Like, we weren't having long conversations, just like, how are you? And you know, this and that, but taught always that if you were coming to her office, you would get a soft peppermint from her candy dish. If it was your birthday, you were going to get a birthday card. She said everybody deserves a birthday card on their birthday. And if you came to her house at Christmas time, you did not leave without a present.
That's awesome.
Everybody deserves a present from her house, is what she said. So, yeah.
Amazing person.
Amazing person.
Rest in power.
But we are going to pivot to The Incredible Hulk 2008. We are back in the MCU, American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics character of the Hulk, produced by Marvel Studios and Valhalla Motion Pictures and distributed by Universal Pictures. It is the second film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was directed by Louis Leterrier from a screenplay by Zach Penn and stars Edward Norton as Bruce Banner alongside Liv Tyler, Tim Roth, William Hurt, Tim Blake Nelson, Ty Burrell, and Christina Cabot. In the film, Banner becomes the Hulk as an unwitting pawn in a military scheme to reinvigorate the super soldier program.
Right.
Through gamma radiation. He goes on the run from the military while attempting to cure himself of the Hulk. And folks, I can tell you this, from that time until the next Marvel movie coming out, which is Captain America Brave New World, since the time of Captain America, the first Avenger, they've been trying to replicate that super soldier formula ever since he got with it.
They got it right with Steve, and they have been trying to duplicate that man ever since. Now, mind you, there's so much going on behind the scenes that we're going to get to learn about with regards to this super soldier serum.
After the mixed reception to Universal's 2003 film Hulk, Marvel Studios reacquired the rights to the character, though Universal retained distribution rights. Lederer, who had expressed interest in directing Iron Man for Marvel, was brought on board, and Penn began to work on a script that would be much closer to the comics in the 1978 television series of the same name. In April 2007, Norton was hired to portray Banner and to rewrite Penn's screenplay. His script positioned the film as a reboot of the series, distancing it from the 2003 film to give the new version its own identity. Norton was ultimately not credited for his writing. Filming took place from July to November 2007, primarily in Toronto, with additional filming in New York City and Rio de Janeiro. Over 700 visual effects shots were created in post-production using a combination of motion capture and computer-generated imagery to complete the film. The Incredible Hulk premiered at the Gibson Amphitheater in Universal City, California on June 8, 2008, and was released in the United States on June 13th as part of Phase 1 of the MCU. It received praise for its action sequences and was considered an improvement over the 2003 film, but it was criticized as lacking in depth. The film grossed $265.5 million worldwide after various productions disagreements between Norton and Marvel Studios, such as over the final edit of the film that Marvel Studios deemed not collaborative. Norton was replaced in the role of Banner by Mark Ruffalo for future MCU content, starting with the Avengers in 2012.
So if I can let you know where I was coming into the film, right? I had no intentions on seeing this in theaters.
Okay.
Because of what I consider poor CGI from the Eric Bana Hulk, I said, you know what? I'm done with these. At this point, I thought that I was reaching that superhero fatigue because we had the X-Men universe that had been developed. We had Spider-Man that had been developed. So we're seeing all this other stuff, and then the fact that we're now getting the Hulk, Iron Man had already been out at this point. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm getting tired. I don't want to see this. But I got coerced into going. So that large number that you gave, $15 of those are mine, man.
Hey, I watched it at the cheap theater. Thankfully, after I had watched Iron Man with my then wife, otherwise we would have been very confused at the ending.
Right?
What's happening?
Why is Robert Downey back here? What is going on? And I love that mustache. What is he doing with that beard?
All right. At Culver University in Virginia, General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross meets with Dr. Bruce Banner, the colleague and boyfriend of his daughter Betty, regarding an experiment that Ross claims is meant to make humans immune to gamma radiation. The experiment, part of a World War II era super soldier program that Ross hopes to recreate, fails. The exposure to gamma radiation causes Banner to transform into the Hulk whenever enraged or when his heart rate rises above 200 beats per minute. The Hulk destroys the lab and surrounding area, and it injures the general, Betty, and others outside. Banner becomes a fugitive from the U.S. military and Ross, who wants to weaponize the Hulk. 5 years later, Banner works at a bottling factory in Rocinha, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, while searching for a cure for his condition. On the internet, he anonymously collaborates with a colleague known only as Mr. Blue.
Mr. Blue.
He is learning yoga techniques to help keep control and has not transformed in 5 months. After Banner cuts his finger, a drop of his blood falls into a bottle, which was eventually ingested by an elderly consumer in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, giving him gamma sickness. And that man was Stan Lee.
Stan Lee.
Using the bottle to track down Banner, Ross sends a special forces team led by Emil Blonsky to capture him. Banner transforms into the Hulk and defeats Blonsky's team, with Blonsky surviving. After Ross explains how Banner became the Hulk, Blonsky agrees to be injected with a small amount of a similar serum, which gives him enhanced speed, strength, agility, and healing powers, but also begins to deform his skeleton and impair his judgment.
So before we go too much further, I want to make sure that I get this in early. I thought, and maybe this is just me, but I thought that the way that Banner and the doctor up in New York identified each other, I thought that was paying homage to Reservoir Dogs, because you're only going by Mr. and then a color. And with Tim Roth being in, I was like, you know what, I thought that was an homage. You got Mr. Blue and Mr. Green. I think in Reservoir Dogs you had Mr. Pink and stuff like that. So I liked that part of it because, and obviously with, Bruce being Hulk, he's green. That's dope. But yeah, when they gave Blonsky the dirty serum, You know, this is I like how his body immediately responds to it. Nothing like what we got with Steve Rogers. This is definitely a dirty cocktail.
Right. Banner returns to Culver University and reunites with Betty. Banner is attacked a second time by Ross and Blonsky's forces, tipped off by Betty's boyfriend, Dr. Leonard Sampson, causing Banner to again transform into the Hulk.
What is Phil doing? What is Phil doing? You knew
like,
there was
Phil
gonna.
Dunphy. Phil Dunphy.
You knew Phil Dunphy was gonna do something, man. Like and again, seeing actors' careers, and I'll make this really brief. I see Ty Burrell now as Phil Dunphy, right? He is that guy. He owned that role. But now seeing him in Hulk, and then even going back to like a Dawn of the Dead film from back in the day, his character was hilarious. So Ty Burrell, you are more than just Phil Dunphy, but you dropped the ball on this one, Phil.
That role in Dawn of the Dead got him this role. So
really?
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, I read that. Now, Leonard Sampson is in the comics, Doc Sampson and stuff like that. He also later on, not as severely, also gets exposed to the gamma radiation, and it gives him super strength and bright green hair that he then grows long and wears into a ponytail. But he helps the Hulk and Bruce out several times. In fact, he's the person that later on becomes responsible for splitting the Hulk and Bruce for a time from each other. But
wow,
we're not. This is not the time to go deep into comic lore. No. We're going to try to keep it on.
Well, that's exciting, though.
The ensuing battle outside the university proves futile for Ross's forces, and they retreat. Though Blonsky, whose sanity is faltering, attacks and mocks the Hulk. The Hulk severely injures Blonsky and flees with Betty. After the Hulk reverts to Banner, he and Betty go on the run, and Banner contacts Mr. Blue, who urges them to meet him in New York City. Mr. Blue is actually cellular biologist Dr. Samuel Stearns, who tells Banner he has developed a possible antidote to Banner's condition. After a successful test, he warns Banner that the antidote may only reverse an initial transformation. Stearns reveals he has synthesized Banner's blood samples, which Banner sent from Brazil into a large supply to apply its limitless potential to medicine. Fearful of the Hulk's power falling into the military hands, Banner wishes to destroy the blood supply. A rapidly recovered Blonsky joins Ross's forces for a third attempt to take Banner into custody. They succeed, and Banner and Betty are taken away in a helicopter. Blonsky stays behind and orders Stearns to inject him with Banner's blood as he covets the Hulk's power. The experiment mutates Blonsky into the Abomination, a creature with size and strength surpassing that of the Hulk. He attacks Stearns, who gets some of Banner's blood in a cut on his forehead, causing him to begin mutating as well. The Abomination rampages through Harlem. Realizing that the Hulk is the only one who can stop the Abomination, Banner convinces Ross to release him. He jumps from Ross's helicopter and transforms after hitting the ground. After a battle throughout Harlem, the Hulk defeats the Abomination by nearly strangling him to death with a chain, but spares his life upon hearing Betty's plea and leaves the Abomination for Ross and his forces to arrest. After having a peaceful moment with Betty, the Hulk flees New York. A month later, Banner is in Bella Coola, British Columbia. Instead of suppressing his transformation, he begins to transform in a controlled manner with a slight smirk. Later, Tony Stark approaches Ross at a local bar and informs him that a team is being put together.
All right, so now I get, because you went from the Culver battle to Tony Stark at the end, and Ross is drinking Incredible Hulk shots at the bar. Those were Incredible Hulk shots, if you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen. The green ones, they're good. I'll get into that recipe later. But a couple things that I wanted to point out. One, when Bruce and Betty are trying to flee, Bruce is now human again. Betty's got that itch. She's missed him. She wants to knock boots. She's not even thinking about Phil Dunphy anymore. And she was just with him yesterday. She's got Bruce now. Bruce says, nope. That heart monitor started to go. She
Yep.
said, not even just a little bit, and it's hilarious now because this take on the conversation is from a different approach. Because usually when the girl is saying this, it's because the man cannot perform.
Right.
Bruce is saying, nah, you don't want this smoke. We can't do this because you would be destroyed. I mean, that's essentially what's happening. So love that joke right there. And then fast forwarding to the battle scene when Bruce has ingested whatever serum um, Mr. Blue had given him, aka Dr. Stern, and he's falling out of the helicopter and nothing. So we will have another callback to this failure to perform several films down the way that I look forward to talking about. And I'm going to try and remember to make this callback then. So great stuff.
If you look, a couple of things here. If you look at the end when he's sending that necklace to her and he gets something, it's addressed to David B.
Mm-hmm.
The character in the 1970 series went by David Banner.
They didn't like Bruce.
They didn't like Bruce. Do you know why?
Yes, they thought that Bruce sounded too soft.
They thought it sounded too gay.
Yeah,
that was the exact thing. How times have changed. Like in the first case, who cares?
true.
But at the time, they're like, oh no, we've got to. So I believe if you look at the fake tombstone they have set up for the character at the opening credits, I believe it says David Bruce Banner, but he goes by David.
Gotcha.
And all of that. And they made a series of movies in the late 80s, early 90s from that TV series. There was The Return of the Incredible Hulk, The Trial of the Incredible Hulk, and The Death of the Incredible Hulk. Mm. The Hulk in the last movie falls from a helicopter and lands on concrete and then transforms into David, and he's dead. That was going to be followed by the resurrection of the Incredible Hulk, like he was going to come back. But his name just popped out of my head. The guy who played Bill Bixby. Bill Bixby was too sick at the time and later on passed away. I believe he had a cancer. But so it postponed the fourth film, and finally that was the last for that character. I'm hoping now that the MCU gets into this multiverse thing that maybe we'll see like a picture of that version of the Hulk in like, a multiverse that they pass or something.
I mean, why not? Considering, I mean, it seems like, and obviously this is just no spoilers necessary, but it does seem like we're gearing towards a World War Hulk storyline at some point. And if that's the case, then absolutely give me that one. Give me Lou Ferrigno, who made a cameo in this film as well as a security guard
who gets bought off with a piece of pizza. Actually, he gets bought off with a pizza. So
a whole medium. But the one thing that I'll say again, because we pay attention to articles and interviews and stuff like that after the fact, I did not know how heavy Lou Ferrigno was into his faith until having seen him in another show and then realizing the line that he said in the film was not what was scripted, but he says, "God bless you, brother." Like he says that to Ed Norton's character as he got the pizza. And I'm like, that wasn't the line that was scripted, but he got to say it. That was amazing.
And also that they are trying to work into where we would see him as the Hulk as well as Eric Bana's Hulk if they do a World War Hulk or at least a Planet Hulk situation.
I would hope Banner's Hulk just gets crushed first. Let's just go ahead and end him out first, and then the rest of them can keep going. That movie was just like I said, it looked too cartoony for me. I couldn't enjoy it.
It was the CGI was just not good. Although I will say there were two good things that I did enjoy, and that was the like CGI dogfight that they had.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that, as well as I think the perfect person who tried to come back in this one, but they chose to go a different way, is Sam Elliott as Thunderbolt Ross. I do think he made a very good Thunderbolt Ross.
I can agree with you on that one.
Robert Downey Jr. has an uncredited cameo as Tony Stark at the end of the film, reprising the role from the MCU film Iron Man. Downey appeared as a favorite to Marvel Studios, which he acknowledged as a smart move on Marvel's part, because when he was promoting his film, he would also have to mention their other production. Hulk co-creator Stan Lee cameos as the man who becomes ill when drinking the soda poisoned by Banner's blood. Michael K. Williams appears as a Harlem bystander, a role that was written for him by Norton, who was a fan of The Wire.
So, pause for 1 second. It 1,000% makes sense for Michael K. Williams to be in Harlem at this point, because if you've seen The Wire, after season 1, Omar needs a split for a little bit. So it would totally make sense for Omar to be in Harlem at the time. I love that Easter egg.
Paul Soles, who voiced Banner in the 1966 The Marvel Superheroes animated series, appears as Stanley Lieber, a kindly pizza restaurant owner who helps Banner because he was good friends with him and Betty in the past. His name is a reference to Stan Lee's full name. Additionally, the late Bill Bixby appears in a scene on his TV comedy drama The Courtship of Eddie's Father on a television Banner is watching in the beginning of the film. Rickson Gracie has a small role as Bruce Banner's martial arts instructor. Despite Gracie's Brazilian jiu-jitsu background, he is credited as an Aikido instructor.
That breathing was sick.
It was.
Can't unsee that. Brazilian
actress Deborah Nascimento makes a cameo as Martina, Banner's colleague at a beverage factory. Peter Mensah plays a small role as General Joe Greller, one of General Ross's military friends and associates. Hulk supporting characters Jim Wilson and Jack McGee make cameo appearances as Culver University students, played by PJ Carr and Nicholas Rose, respectively. Martin Starr plays a college student credited as Computer Nerd. The character is retroactively revealed to be Roger Harrington. Starr's role in the MCU film Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Spider-Man No Way Home, as confirmed in May 2019 by Kevin Feige. So let's get into some home media.
All right.
The Incredible Hulk was released by Universal Studios Home Entertainment on Blu-ray and DVD on October the 21st, 2008. It includes behind-the-scenes featurettes, audio commentary, deleted scenes, and an alternate opening. The film was also collected in a 10-disc box set titled Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 1, Avengers Assembled, which includes all of the Phase 1 films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was released by Walt Disney Studios Home Entertainment on April the 2nd, 2013. Universal released the film on Ultra HD Blu-ray on April the 10th, 2018. The Incredible Hulk begins streaming on Disney Plus in the United States on June the 16th, 2023. After the distribution rights of the film reverted to Marvel Studios and Disney from Universal. So let's talk about reception, and then we'll get into the box office. The Incredible Hulk earned $134.8 million in the United States and Canada, as well as $128.6 million from other territories, for a worldwide total of $263.4 million. The film, even though it barely passed its predecessor and only equaled it if the smaller budget of the first film was taken into account, was still considered moderately successful.
Mm-hmm.
The review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes reported an approval rating of 67% with an average score of 6.2 out of 10 based on 240 reviews. Metacritic gave the film an average score of 61 out of 100 based on 38 critics, indicating general generally favorable reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A- on an A+ to F scale. What would you give it, TJ?
I can say that A- isn't wrong. I don't have any issues with it. I mean, I Marvel clearly pivoted from Ed Norton, but what he brought to the character I thought was dope. Now knowing some of the behind the scenes stuff, seeing deleted scenes that were cut, I mean, you'll hear uh, Bruce talk about trying to unalive himself later, in the series. That scene would have been in this film had Ed Norton's cut been allowed to release, with him actually putting the gun in his mouth and Hulk spitting it out, showing that humanization of Bruce. I thought that was major for the character and actually did do a lot with how Ruffalo was going to play the character later. So that A- I think was strong. Again, I had perceptions coming in because of how poorly the first one was with the CGI. Definitely loved what Marvel did with how they made the transition into Hulk, and even going as far as keeping the scar from Blonsky's bone stab in the chest going forward as well. So yeah, great with that.
I would say I'm going to rate it a little lower than that. I would probably go with a solid B. Um, Much better than the 2003
Oh
film.
yeah.
With that, I would have liked to have seen. I think a lot of it is just that we got no, like, we hardly got anything about Doc Samson and his relationship with Betty. Is like, oh, they're together because we saw them in a car together, and they kind of indicated that they were in a relationship, and then he was like, look, there he is, and then there was nothing. And there was also stuff cut out where Shield was more involved, as well as Rick Jones, who's a major player in the Incredible Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole reason that he becomes the Hulk in the comics is because of Rick, and that part was completely cut out of the script. But there's a future for the character. Let's talk about that. Mark Ruffalo, who was Lederer's first choice before casting Norton, replaced Norton as Banner Hulk in the MCU beginning in the Avengers. After Feige said he chose not to bring back Norton, he explained, our decision is definitely not one based on monetary factors, but instead rooted in the need for an actor who embodies the creativity and collaborative spirit of our other talented cast members. The Avengers demand players who thrive working as part of an ensemble. Norton felt that this statement was cheap. In October 2014, Norton claimed he chose never to play Hulk again because he wanted more diversity with his career and did not want to be associated with only one character. Ruffalo also portrayed the character in Avengers Age of Ultron, Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame. Ruffalo said Banner was able to have more prominent role in Ragnarok, Infinity War, and Endgame because of the lack of a standalone Hulk film, with the character's arc in those films feeling like a Hulk movie. Ruffalo also made appearances in credit scenes of Iron Man 3, Captain Marvel, and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Hurt first reprised his role as Thaddeus Ross in Captain America Civil War. Ruffalo and Roth both reprised their roles in the Disney Plus series She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Mm-hmm. Roth also provided uncredited vocals for Abomination in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Nelson and Tyler are set to reprise their respective roles as Samuel Stearns / the Leader and Betsy Ross in Captain America Brave New World, while Harrison Ford was cast to play Thaddeus Ross in Brave New World and Thunderbolts in the wake of Hurt's death in 2022.
I'm looking forward to February. I mean, I think Brave New World. I don't know if it's intentional. I have mixed reviews. I mean, I'm gonna go see it. It's a Marvel movie, but they're gonna have to do more than they did with Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Like they told a very important story, but it was very different than the other things that we have received, right? So with them putting the Hulk in, excuse me, with them putting the Red Hulk in, I think it's going to be something different. And we're finally getting Mr. Blue, aka Samuel Stern, aka the leader. You know, we've been sitting on this villain for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, so we're finally getting him back and bringing back Betty Ross as well, who I think they really only referenced her really in like a what if episode they had her, but I don't think it was voiced by Liv Tyler. So to have Liv coming back, I think is really cool. So yeah, but this movie, like I said, this movie did a lot for, in my opinion, saving the Incredible Hulk. Because the show back in the day, not a lot of folks knew were paying attention to it outside of your boomers, right? And then so all people were thinking about was the bad CGI of the 2003 film.
Right.
So this did a really good job, not only of showing that Marvel could make an amazing, Incredible Hulk movie, but that there was more to Hulk than just smashing. They really did a lot to show. Ed Norton, props to him, did a lot to show the diversity of Hulk. He's more than just smashing stuff. There is a mind there, and like I said, Ruffalo just took the ball and ran with it. And we'll talk about that with his relationship with Natasha going forward. All these complexity is shown because they did such a good job with this one.
It's too late now, but I would have loved to have in Captain America Brave New World, like a scene in the Oval Office. That it's just at the beginning and stuff like that, where he's like, yeah, we've got to take care of this thing in Latveria and all of that. And I'm sorry I have to bring you gentlemen on to do it, but here you go. As you know, somebody else is coming in, and you see that it's Ed Norton and Terrence Howard. And they say, awesome. Oh, this is not the first time we've had to deal with replacements. And Harrison Ford goes, yeah, I know how that is.
That would be awesome. That would be so awesome. And we don't know that they didn't do that.
We don't. And we can get more into this because we're both on tight schedules today, but we can talk in the future. There could be, they are probably now going beyond that and talk about the mutant saga, or there's another saga that's beyond whatever saga that we're in now. Is this the multiverse saga?
This is the multiverse saga that we're in. The mutant saga is the next saga.
That could become Kang's saga, because all of the charges and everything against Jonathan Majors were dropped, and all of that with prejudice. So that means they can't. I believe that means they cannot be refiled against whatever that means. So maybe that there's that. Maybe everybody's just decided, hey, you know what, we're moving on, and all of that. But some big things are coming along with Robert Downey Jr. It's been reported this week that Chris Evans is going to have a role in Avengers Doomsday. So
awesome. So I mean, and this neither here nor there. The number of zeros on the bag will determine, right, if a person comes back. I don't know if it's possible. I think it is. I think he did a very amazing job in the role of, Kang and He Who Remains. But the way things played out, who knows if we'll ever get to see Jonathan Majors in a Marvel film again. But what I can say is what he did was dope. You'll never hear me say anything bad about his portrayal. Even in Quantumania, which we'll talk about later, that didn't necessarily get the most love critically. Yeah.
Right.
I'm jumping the boat, Joey. Don't let me jump the boat. I can't swim. I got to stay in the boat.
You need to stay in the boat then, because there's sharks in that water.
And you know I don't go to the Sharks' house.
That is their domicile.
It is, man. I'm not going to the Sharks' living room. That's the first way to get bit up. You sitting on the Sharks' couch, looking at the Sharks' plasma and wondering why the Sharks want to bite you. Get out.
And if you say, "Why are you biting me, Shark? I was just sitting over here watching this," and the Shark will say, "You peed on my rug."
That's it. Because you know you were. You know it was warm in that water. You know exactly what you did.
Absolutely.
You know what you did, Sebastian.
It's always somebody named Sebastian that you're going.
I just feel like that name. It's a name that I just enjoy saying. It's hilarious. Let's keep it going.
But
What's next?
What is next is that we're going back into list mode, my friend, and we are going to do our top 5 each. We each get 5. Now there may be some overlap there, but we'll also have some honorable mentions. Words are failing me this afternoon. But we're going to do our top 5 Christmas movies. Now, this I took as not Christmas specials and not animated things like that. This is just Christmas movies.
Straight movies.
So look for that from us sooner rather than later as we head into this holiday season. But we're going to make this quick. Just watch this, subscribe. I'm at the Joey Harris anywhere that you can find me. TJ, go and plug anything and everything, my friend.
Plug.
You can get him right here.
Right here is where you find me, or the Joey Harris Show, which we got a Christmas special coming there as well. You want a spoiler on my Christmas list? Elf ain't on it. At me. I don't know where you find me though. There you go.
Walking down the sidewalk.
That's it. At TJ as I'm walking down the sidewalk. Will Ferrell, I got no disrespect for you, man. I love you, bud, but Elf is not on my list. Come see what is.
Ooh. Not on my list either. I think we'll get into that. We'll get into that then. There's no hate. There is no hatred, but it's
zero hate.
Yeah. So if it was like a top 10, it might make it. It might not.
No,
we had top 5. So
no, it's not even on my 10. What okay. Is it a Christmas movie?
Elf? Yes, I would say. Wait. I gotta go. Hold on. Just 1 second. Is there somebody like fighting that Elf is not a Christmas movie?
No.
That's the new Die Hard, dude. Right? People getting fist fight over Die Hard. I've not heard one person like, look, you can like it or not like it. I've never heard anybody say Elf is not a Christmas movie.
So for the record, I'm making the joke of if it's a Christmas movie on whether or not I would even put it on my list at all. But 2, I will say this, and this will be my last words. Bruce Willis definitively at his roast said whether or not Die Hard was a Christmas movie, and he said no, definitively, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It's a Bruce Willis movie, right. Filmed at Christmas. That's awesome.
Well, Bruce Willis, nothing but love and respect for him. He's allowed to be wrong.
Oh no, he's 1,000% allowed to be wrong because we told him why he was wrong.
All right, but thank you all so much. Make you sure you're just subscribing. Describe your subscription.
Describe it. It's great.
And hit the bell. We will talk to you all next time.